could, I would ask that if you would, please allow me to fill that position.
Thank you, John. Board's heard from John concerning his need. Is there any further questions or comments?
Well, I think, over the time that I've sat here, I guess the paper says that I, got it out for social services, which is not true. One of the things, and I'm going to share some information with them, really is the growth of government and county government over the 10-year period starting in 2000 going up till now. Alleghany County's added 18 employees in the 10-year period, and our population has only increased, by 5%. So we've had a 20% growth in employees, but only a 5% growth in the number of people here. So I mean, if that was even, then it would be 5 and 5. I mean, common logic tells you that. And then the report goes further and it compares it to the private marketplace and the number of, jobs they lost, which I understand we lost, assembly operations here in Alleghany County. But that declined 20%. But Civitas went and compared all 100 counties, and I didn't put all 100 on here because it gets to be an eye chart. I gave you the 5 up in this, region, being Wilkes, Watauga, Ashe, Alleghany, Avery. Then I added Surrey County in there because Surrey County's done an excellent job, in the same time period. They were rated an A, we're rated a B. And again, it goes back to basically county growth. And I think that in social services, from the time that I've been on the board, we filled 2 open positions and we hired 2 additional workers. And while at the same time private sector finds way to cut back and make changes and do things better, it seems like county government can't. Their solution, well, county, state, and national government is just to add people and keep adding people and keep adding people and just grow this monster, until it gets away from us. And, we got to find ways around that. I think we got to think outside of the box sometimes. I think this program you just talked about, although maybe, yes, it does have some problems, I see that as providing a benefit to your organization where you can start reducing the number of employees, over a period of time. And ultimately, that's what I would like to see done. And, I'll share this information, these charts if you want to look at them. One of the things, these 18 employees that were added in Alleghany County, if you look just at the average pay you talked about, the $32,000, that's $577,000 worth of additional cost we've added to the taxpayers. If you equate that out, if it's all Alleghany County, that's like 4 cents on the tax rate, which I understand. Some of it's paid by the state and federal governments, but I think everyone in this room and everyone in this county pays state and federal taxes too. And, we're putting an additional burden on them at, times, we've heard from these other organizations that are doing working to get the people off of the need for assistance, and it seems like, through social services, we're just looking to put more people on. And I understand, times are tough, and sure, there's people that need it, and that's what it's there for. But we really need to have a program, I think, that finds a way to get them off of the food and nutrition program, to get them self-sustaining. Like the folks just talked about a little while ago, and that's why I commended them for it. So, again, I've not been afraid to vote no, and no, I can't see adding another person to, even though it's an open position, filling that open slot. Thank you.
The alternative of not hiring this position is what, Mr. Blevins?
If we did not hire this position, all that work that I mentioned would have to go to the ones that are currently doing it now. And as I told you, Ashe has 349 cases per worker. We've got 408. Well, that would only increase. I would be very concerned about us being able to have time to do the fraud cases, the income maintenance investigator position part of it. That would have to probably go out to all the other workers as well. If we don't meet those guidelines, then we run the risk of having administrative funds withheld from us as well.
What percent of administrative funds are they talking about withholding?
They did not specify. They just said that counties will run the risk of losing administrative funds and incentives. And the incentives are usually a percentage of what we collect, roughly about close to 20%.
How much?
Close to 20%, somewhere around in that area.
Of your total?
What you collect on that. Which is, you know, the county, obviously, the only skin in the game they have with Medicaid is obviously just the administrative cost of providing it, since the state took over that cost years ago. It's federal and state monies that are in that. The county used to pay a portion of it.
This 20% you're collecting is really fraudulent claims that shouldn't have been paid in the first place. Is that not correct?
They're fraudulent claims,
Okay.
but it's.
Thank you.
That is true, but somebody has to prove they're fraudulent, right?
Correct.
Well, I think if we really do the job properly up front, those services wouldn't be applied. And, you know, that's my point in this.
How do people get by you fraudulently?
They tell us untruths, and we have to, you know, a lot of times they will do anything they can to get assistance. They can be quite creative and withhold information from you, not be upfront and honest. And it's information that you can't always detect upfront. We do upfront investigations. If a worker has a knowledge of someone that is doing or has suspicion that they might not be on the up and up, we will send the investigator out to do an upfront investigation before we even put them on. But you cannot catch them all like that. And there's some that, you know, just are determined to get it, and we have to try to collect it back.
It looks like this person collected about the amount the county put into their salary.
That's correct.
But again, I mean, you're not looking where that money came from originally. That's taxpayer dollars, whether it be federal or state, that was paid out in error. We're not collecting anything. It was money that was paid that shouldn't have been paid.
But it was.
What
It was
happens-
paid.
What happens if you don't service people? If we decide not to take a person's application that you don't believe is actually a needy family?
They have the right to apply. They could appeal to the state, and we'd get in a lot of trouble. Anyone has a right to apply for benefits at any point in time, then we have to obviously make the determination of eligibility at that point in time. But I would suggest to you that there's not 100% accuracy in any organization or business anywhere, but our employees work very diligently, very hard. They're not trying to catch fraud. They are doing their up-level best to do that. You would find that in any DFS across the state. I mean, that's.
Do you do fraud investigations on every application before they're approved, or what's your process?
When someone comes in to apply, obviously we have to go through a lengthy application, ask tons of information, household composition, size, income, resources. We do, you know, try to get information back from banks or other businesses to verify that. A lot of times you'll run into situations where many people are paid in cash, and we will find that after the fact because of the fact of someone telling on them, or an employer, you know, calls with a concern. Then we look at it. But get back to your question, obviously when we're going through all that, one thing about a small county, we know a lot of the people that we come in contact with. If they have suspicion, I think they're working in the trees, or I think, you know, something is going on with that, they will give that to that income maintenance investigator, the fraud worker, and they will do an investigation up front prior to the issuance of benefits to see. But at the rate that they have work, they can't, you know, obviously each and every one of those cases, you could not look at each and every one of them, but they do the ones that they have suspicion over. It'd be almost an impossible job to go out and send someone out to double check every